Okay everyone, so welcome back to part 2 of the video series of why I'm equally grateful and embarrassed about being an Indian. So in part 1 we covered about these topics, we covered these points in really great detail, and now it's time to tackle the elephant in the room. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're reading it right. That's how I kept it in the text. And now it's time to discuss about all the overpopulation problem in the country in great detail. I have a few pointers which I'm going to talk about, and this is going to be part 1 because this is a really big topic and I want to make I'm going to cover it in 2 or 3, I don't know how many videos. It's just how much I feel like ranting about this topic, that many videos I'll make. So yeah, so I was reading an answer in Quora, and there were a few points which I absolutely loved, which I put it over here. So let's read it and let's understand it together. So in India, the major problem with population is the culture of the people and how we were brought up as kids. Like you can read that anyone who is above 20 will know that this is true, that there is a constant pressure from family to get married and pop a kid as soon as you get a job. Well, that's true in most of the cases. Even as of 2024, this thing is true, and this thing is worse for girls, because for girls, like, the girls who are intelligent and who have studied and who do well in life and who are independent, they won't face this problem. But there are many people who are not as intelligent, right? All, of course, not every one of us can be toppers, or not every one of us can be Albert Einstein. So there are vast majority of girls who are subpar or below average, who are not as intelligent, who are not good in studies after they cross the 18-year threshold. So it's really worse for girls, because then they are just rushed by their parents to get married and get it over with. Really, that's the thing. So girls, it's really bad, and this thing happens a lot in India. So, and the second point is relative. Like, I'll highlight this: the relatives are such a pain in the ass. And if you want to learn anything from me now, I'll just tell you this, that literally fuck relatives. I literally don't give a damn about any relative who comes to my house. I just really show them middle fingers, uh, because I really hate the relative mindset of Indians as a whole, because we get so much pressurized into doing things based on what other people tell us to do, based on how our relatives react. Because I've been through this. I was a teenager and I have seen how I react. In the past few years, I've changed myself a lot, and I'm much more wiser than I was, let's say, 5 or 6 years ago. So I really know that how relatives manipulate their mind, and how relatives manipulate your mind, and how you are tricked into taking so much pressure from the outside world, and you can't concentrate on yourself. So the relative problem is huge in this country, and I'm so thankful that I've done a few things in my in these past few years which has helped me get out of this thing, and now I literally don't give a fuck what anyone has to say about me, because I'm very happy with myself now. This is a really personal story. I'll tell it in great detail in some other video. But yeah, so the relative problem which I was talking about, that is really a huge problem, because you see, they will always ask you that. First, they will ask you about your 10th marks. I'll tell you how the cycle starts. So it starts by, first they will ask you about your class 10. भैया बोर्ड्स में कितना आया, 10 का बोर्ड्स में कितना आया. After you cross class 10, then they'll pressure you about class 12, कि 12 का बोर्ड्स में कितना आया, ठीक है, and all of that, how much marks do you got in class 12. And after that, they'll constantly nag your parents about which college is taking admission, what is going to do in life. And after you've been through all that, 8 to 10 years of slogging, and when you're really decent, when you have reached a decent position in your life, you have a good job and all of that, or whether you have a good business or whatever, and then they will force you, then they will ask these kind of questions, that when you're getting married, and once you get married, then again they will ask you that when you're going to have children. So you are seeing the cycle. This cycle keeps on repeating. The relative cycle keeps repeating and repeating. And parents, I don't know what to say, man. Indian parents are really, especially middle class parents, are really sensitive to what relatives say about them, because they really, I don't know whether it's a good or bad thing, because I've suffered a lot because of this, that my parents really not compared exactly, they were really sensitive to the points which relatives said about me, right? But on the other hand, parents should not give a fuck about what other people say about your child, because you should have faith in your child. you should motivate him to keep doing better, irrespective of what other people say. But that's not the case especially with middle class Indian parents. They are really sensitive about what other people say about their kids. So even they get pressurized, and looking at them, the children get pressurized. So especially in your teenage, after, let's say, you have crossed class 10, because after that the major problems start in your life. So yeah, so that's the thing which I wanted to tell, that the role of relatives is really worse. The Indian society is so fucked up, and the relatives play a great reason for depression in many young kids. So that's the thing. Because I'm very smart, I'm an intelligent man, I just wanted to compare how these points refactor in modern countries, right? Like, not in modern countries, like in developed countries like Japan and United States, like how these points, the relative point and the family pressure point and all, how these points translate, contrast to other developed countries in the world. So you can see, I researched a bit, and these are the points which came out. Like in modern countries, developed countries, personal choice is valued. I mean, you're not forced by your parents or anything to do something. Personal choice is valued, and people aren't expected to explain their lifestyle choices to everyone, right? Because the students are generally more intelligent as compared to, as I said in the previous video also, I really feel that if you compare an Indian teenager with a teenager from Japan or Russia or US or Germany, the latter will be more intelligent and more responsive and more mature than the teenager in India. So yeah, and it's generally accepted for individuals to live alone, stay single, or have no children. This is a stark contrast which you can see in foreign countries as compared to India. And because I have a few friends who went to foreign countries. One of my friend, he went to London after his class 12, and I'm in touch with him through LinkedIn, and he told me about these things. I asked him about these things, and he told me, yeah, it's true, which contribute to the population. The pressure of becoming a parent really soon, right? And how your choice is not, and no fucks are given about your choice as a teenager, or even if, as I said, even if you have a decent job or a decent business, and even if you're well settled in life, still the relatives and parents will keep on nagging you, right? So this is a problem. This is one problem. So let's talk about the second problem. Yeah, this is a big one, like how big guys like Modi ji or Ambani ji or big industrialists manipulate people. So look, this is a very this will be a very polarizing discussion, because it involves politics, and as I said in my previous video, it's very easy to divide people on the basis of politics. Okay, so first let's talk about Modi. Look guys, at the end of the day, he's just a politician, right? He wants his tenure to last as long as it can, for 10 years, 15 years, 50 years, as long as he's alive. He would wish to be prime minister, right? So from his POV, it is vital that you keep the people united or divided depending upon how the situation is, based on politics and religion, right? So it's a good thing if the population is increasing, and Modi is very famous in India, so a lot more people will favor his political party, which is BJP, right? So if you have a large population and you have a large pool of people, so you get more votes, and it's very easy to, especially, it's, as I said, it's very easy to manipulate youngsters in India. So from a campaign or political campaign point of view, it is Modi would want the population to increase, because as I said, he will, at the end of the day, he wants to become the prime minister for as long as possible, right? So I'm not saying it's bad. He has done a lot of good things in the country, like he has developed roads and highways and airports and and ports for ships, so right, shipyards and all of that, railway stations, and he has done a lot of infrastructure building in India, I agree. But at the end of the day, he can't solve this overpopulation problem, because you know what is the problem? The problem is that if India implements a one child norm like China did in the 1980s, right, the people will just overthrow the government. Trust me, no one will stand up for it. So the fundamental problem is with the people. Modi can't help with this. You can give a possible counter argument that Modi ji, the government should do something to stop the population, but the thing is that the people itself the people itself have to control themselves. They have to control the thing which is between their legs if you want to control the population, right? Because this is a people level problem. The government can't do anything about this. Okay, now let's talk about Ambani and other big industrialists and how they manipulate people. Look, at the end of the day, they are just businessmen, right? Their goal is to sell their products to more and more number of people. So if the population increases, there is a larger pool of people to sell their products to, right? So they will just keep on growing richer and richer and richer, and there is no end to this, right? So they will benefit. But the problem is the middle class people and the people who are below the poverty line. That's a huge problem, because can you tell me, can you accommodate 10 billion people in an area of 1 square kilometer? Is that possible? So what is the point of building airports and railway tracks and all of that things if you can't control your population in such a way that at least people can enjoy this? I'll give you an example. Like, I told you that Modi is building infrastructure, which is a very good thing. But look at this. This is you can search Mumbai local crowd on YouTube and you will get these video suggestions. Just look at this. Just look at this videos. Just look at this. Like, can you see the crowd? Like, there are 1 billion people at least over here and look at the trains. People are not getting any space to stand inside, right? Look at this. I won't tell anything, just look at how overcrowded the trains are, right? The people can't even get out, they can't even go in. And I have seen this a lot even in Kolkata where I live. The metros are packed as fuck, like you can't even breathe. Once I went at in the morning 10 o'clock, I went in a metro, and that was the last time I went in a metro in office time. I literally suffocated. I almost literally died because it was so packed, and in an AC metro I was sweating like fuck. Can you imagine? The metro had its air conditioner turned on and still I was sweating because the people were just pressing against me from every direction. People are ready to lay down their lives, like they're hanging on the trains in such a way. And the same thing is with the same problem is with every mode of transportation, even in buses and even in cabs and taxis, which are not private, not from private companies like Ola and all, but even the local cabs which run around, they sometimes carry 5 to 10 people. Can you imagine? In a local taxi you're carrying 10 people in a normal four-wheeler consumer class car. So this is a problem. So what is the point of building so many roads and bridges and dams when after all the normal or the average person is getting this kind of lifestyle? You wouldn't want this, right? Just look at this. So you can search even more. This was just an example I'm giving you. I would highly recommend you to watch this video because here a foreign economist explains why India can never grow like China. It's a really good video. I researched it a lot because this is just plain text, right? All of these points are just plain text. Here you will find the actual numbers and data and statistics. I didn't want to explain you all of that because if I explain all of these things, what will you do? You won't do anything, right? So this is for you. This is your homework. You watch this video, you understand the numbers. Because I watched this, I understood everything. It's time for you to understand all of this, right? The numbers and the maths and stuff. You'll find everything over here, right? Sorry, the focus is shifting. 1 second. Yeah, now it's okay. So that was one thing I wanted to highlight. And now let's talk about there's a recent AI summit between Nvidia and Reliance. I mean Modi ji, not Modi ji, Ambani ji and the CEO of Nvidia, which is Jensen Huang, came and they talked about how India can stay ahead in the artificial intelligence race. It's a good thing that India is delving into modern technologies and all. I told in the previous video how Indian students and the engineers which are at a junior level think about AI. I told you in the previous video. I won't repeat that again. And I literally a couple of days back when I was returning from a mall to my home, I saw literally people or children who were not really poor children literally shitting on the streets, right? So if you can't solve fundamental problems like poverty, how the fuck do you why the fuck are you even bothering to tackle AI and other advancements in your country when you can't solve these fundamental problems? Like, you have literally children shitting on the roads with dogs, right? So that's a problem. I know I'm harsh, but that's the entire point of making a rant video. After all, this is a rant video, right? The end of the video, and these were a few points which I want to talk about. I'll see you in part 3. Thank you. Bye bye.